The invitation had arrived 3 months earlier, embossed in gold lettering on cream cardstock. My brother was marrying Victoria, a corporate lawyer who'd made her opinions about my husband clear from their first meeting. "What does he do again?" she'd asked at the engagement dinner, eyeing Marcus's faded jeans and decade-old watch. "Property management," I'd said simply. She'd wrinkled her nose. "Like, apartment maintenance." I'd smiled, and changed the subject. Marcus squeezed my hand under the table. We'd been married 6 years. I'd learned that letting people assume whatever they wanted saved everyone energy. The Grandview estate was Victoria's dream venue. She'd mentioned it constantly. The Italian marble floors, the crystal chandeliers, the manicured gardens stretching toward the lake. "It's $75,000 just for the rental," she'd told my mother, loud enough for me to hear. "Only the best for our wedding." Marcus had nodded along during these conversations, eating his dinner quietly while Victoria's parents discussed their daughter's impeccable taste. The morning of the wedding, Marcus pulled his 2015 Honda Civic into the estate's circular driveway. Victoria's father was directing traffic near the entrance, wearing a tuxedo that probably cost more than our car. "Service vehicles go around back," he called out, not recognizing us yet. Marcus parked in the guest lot without comment. He was wearing a navy suit I'd bought him 4 years ago, well-maintained but clearly not designer. His shoes were polished but scuffed at the heels. "You could wear the Patek Philippe today," I'd suggested that morning. He'd kissed my forehead. No need to make anyone uncomfortable. The ceremony was scheduled for 2 p.m. in the estate's main ballroom. We arrived at 1:30, walking through gardens where staff were making final adjustments to white rose arrangements. Victoria was near the entrance, resplendent in a dress that had required 3 fittings in Manhattan. She froze when she saw Marcus. "You actually came," she said, her tone suggesting this was somehow surprising. "Of course," Marcus replied evenly. "Wouldn't miss it." Her eyes traveled from his shoes to his jacket. "Well, the ceremony starts soon. You should probably find seats in the back." My mother appeared then, wearing a silver gown and an expression of concern. "Victoria dear, is everything ready?" The photographer mentioned some issue with, "Everything's fine, Mrs. Peterson." Victoria interrupted. "I was just greeting your daughter and her husband." The pause before husband hung in the air like smoke. We moved into the ballroom. My mother had saved us seats in the 3rd row, but Victoria's mother, a woman named Constance, who wore her pearls like armor, quickly intervened. "Those seats are reserved for the Bradford family," she announced, gesturing to people I didn't recognize. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable in the back." Marcus took my elbow gently. "The back is fine." We settled into chairs in the last row, next to a college friend of my brother's who spent the entire pre-ceremony period on his phone. The room filled with 250 guests, business associates, college friends, Victoria's extensive network of lawyers and executives. At 1:55, Victoria's father took the microphone for a pre-ceremony announcement. "Welcome to the Grandview estate," he boomed. "Only the finest venue for our finest girl. Some of you may not be able to afford a venue like this," he chuckled, "but that's why you're here as guests, not hosts." Polite laughter rippled through the crowd. Several people in our row glanced at Marcus's suit. The ceremony proceeded smoothly. My brother looked genuinely happy, which mattered more than anything else. When they exchanged rings, I felt Marcus take my hand. The reception began immediately after. The ballroom transformed, tables emerging from the walls, a band setting up on the raised platform, staff circulating with champagne that probably cost $300 per bottle. We found our assigned table, number 24, near the kitchen doors. Victoria's cousin Amanda was already seated there, along with her husband and 2 children under 10. "I think they put all the kids' families back here," she said apologetically, away from the important guests. Dinner was salmon with asparagus, prepared by a chef whose restaurant held 2 Michelin stars. Victoria had mentioned him by name at least 15 times. Midway through the main course, Victoria's father clinked his glass for a toast. He spoke about excellence, about his daughter's achievements, about the importance of marrying someone who matched your ambition. "My Victoria knew what she wanted," he said, gesturing around the opulent room. "She chose a venue that reflects her standards. She chose a man who shares her drive. She didn't settle." The word settle seemed to land directly on our table. After dinner the dancing began. Marcus and I stayed seated, watching my brother and Victoria glide across the marble floor. They looked perfect together. Both tall, both polished, both exactly what they appeared to be. At 8 p.m., Victoria approached our table. She'd changed into a second dress, somehow even more expensive than the first. "I need to ask you something," she said to Marcus, her voice tight. Did you valet your car here? Marcus looked up calmly. No, I parked in the guest lot. The thing is, Victoria continued, the estate manager mentioned that there's a Honda Civic parked in a premium spot. It's apparently blocking where we need to park the vintage Rolls-Royce for photos. I can move it, Marcus offered. Actually, Victoria's voice dropped, though people at nearby tables were clearly listening. I'm wondering if you should just leave. You seem uncomfortable. This probably isn't your usual scene. I felt my face flush. Victoria, it's fine, Marcus said quietly, standing. We can go. No, wait. Victoria held up one hand. Actually, there's been a complaint. My brother appeared then, looking confused. Vic, what's going on? Your sister's husband parked in a restricted area, Victoria said, her voice carrying now. And honestly, Daniel, I think he's been uncomfortable all evening. Maybe it's better if they leave before the cake cutting. Daniel looked at Marcus, then at me. You guys don't have to. We do, Victoria interrupted. Actually, we really do. Security has been very clear about the estate's policies. As if on cue, 2 security guards in dark suits materialized near our table. Is there a problem, Mrs. Morrison? One of them asked Victoria. She gestured toward Marcus. This gentleman's vehicle is improperly parked, and I'd like him escorted from the property. The ballroom had gone noticeably quieter. Phones were emerging from purses, undoubtedly ready to capture whatever happened next. Marcus stood fully, adjusting his jacket. That's fine. I'll leave. Both of you, Victoria added, looking at me. I think it's best. I stood as well, my hands shaking with anger and humiliation. My mother was pushing through the crowd, her face stricken. Victoria, this is my daughter, she said desperately. And I'm the bride, Victoria replied. This is my wedding, at my venue, and I have the right to maintain certain standards. One of the security guards, younger, looking distinctly uncomfortable, stepped toward Marcus. Sir, I'll need to escort you out. Marcus smiled at him. It was a kind smile, genuinely warm. Of course. Let me just get my wife's coat. No need, Victoria said coldly. Security will bring it to you outside. The walk through the ballroom felt endless. 250 people watched us being escorted out by security guards. I could hear whispers, see phones tracking our exit. At the door, my brother caught up to us. I didn't know she was going to. He started. It's okay, Marcus said, shaking his hand. Congratulations, Daniel. I hope you'll be very happy. We stepped outside into the cool October evening. The gardens were lit with string lights, beautiful and romantic and completely humiliating as our backdrop. The security guards followed us to the parking lot. The older one, his name tag read, Stevens, looked apologetic. I'm sorry, folks, we just follow orders from whoever's renting the venue. I understand, Marcus said. We were 20 feet from our Honda, when a woman in a black suit came running from the main building. She was carrying a clipboard, and her heels clicked frantically on the stone pathway. Wait, she screamed. Stop, please stop. The security guards froze. Stop! The security guards froze. I turned to see the woman, the wedding planner I'd seen earlier coordinating details, sprinting toward us with an expression of absolute panic. Mr. Chen, she gasped, reaching us. Mr. Marcus Chen. Marcus nodded slowly. The wedding planner bent over, catching her breath, then straightened with wide eyes. You're the owner. You own the Grandview estate. Stevens, the security guard, laughed. Ma'am, I think you're confused. This is just a guest who was asked to. No, the wedding planner interrupted, pulling out her phone with shaking hands. No, I saw the ownership documents this morning. Marcus Chen, you own this property. You own all 12 Grandview properties across the state. The silence that followed was broken only by crickets in the garden. The younger security guard looked at his partner. Stevens looked at Marcus. Marcus looked at me with the smallest shrug. There's been a terrible mistake, the wedding planner continued, her voice rising. Mrs. Morrison, the bride, she just had you removed from your own venue. It's fine, Marcus started. It's not fine. The planner was nearly in tears. The contract specifically states that all events must have owner approval. If you withdraw approval, the entire wedding is. She didn't finish, but we all understood. From the ballroom we could hear the band starting a new song. Laughter and conversation drifted across the lawn. Inside, 250 people were celebrating, unaware that the foundation of the evening was currently standing in a parking lot. Who else knows? Marcus asked quietly. The wedding planner swallowed. Just me and the estate manager. We were going over final invoices, when I recognized you leaving with security. The manager is still inside, She doesn't know what's happening. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I could see him calculating, thinking through options. Stevens cleared his throat. Mr. Chen, I apologize. If I'd known, you were doing your job, Marcus said, following the instructions you were given. The wedding planner's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and paled further. The estate manager is asking why you're in the parking lot. She saw you on the security cameras. Tell her there was a misunderstanding about parking, Marcus said. Tell her everything is fine. But, the planner protested. Everything is fine, Marcus repeated firmly. The planner nodded, typing rapidly on her phone. I found my voice finally. You're not going to shut it down. Marcus looked at me with those calm brown eyes I'd fallen in love with 8 years ago. It's your brother's wedding. Victoria just had you thrown out. I know. He took my hand, but Daniel looked happy. Your mom spent weeks helping plan this, and honestly, he glanced back at the illuminated ballroom. Victoria doesn't know yet. That moment when she finds out, that's going to be consequence enough. The wedding planner looked between us, confused. So, the event continues. The event continues, Marcus confirmed. But I think my wife and I will head home. I'll have your car brought around immediately, Stevens said. Already moving. And sir, again I apologize. Already forgotten, Marcus assured him. The younger guard was staring at Marcus like he'd grown a second head. You really own this place. 12 of them, the wedding planner said quietly. The Grand View estate chain. Combined value of approximately $200 million. The guard whistled softly. Our Honda arrived, looking distinctly out of place among the Mercedes and BMWs filling the lot. Marcus opened my door, ever the gentleman. Before getting in, I turned to the wedding planner. When do you tell her? The planner checked her schedule. Contract review is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mrs. Morrison scheduled it to discuss her review on their wedding website. The estate manager will be presenting final invoices, and standard procedure is to introduce the owner when the client has been particularly difficult. I supplied. The planner's lips twitched. That's one way to phrase it. Marcus started the engine. As we pulled away from the Grand View estate, I looked back at the glowing windows, the fairy lights, the perfect venue, hosting the perfect wedding. She's going to die when she finds out, I said. Marcus reached over and squeezed my hand. Probably. You could have told her tonight, in front of everyone. I could have, he agreed. But this way is better. Tomorrow when she comes in feeling powerful, ready to leave a scathing review of the staff, ready to demand discounts, and instead learns that the man she had thrown out owns everything she spent months bragging about. That's poetry. I laughed despite everything. You're devious. I'm patient, he corrected. There's a difference. We drove in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then I asked the question I'd been holding back all evening. Why don't you ever correct people about what you do? Marcus considered this. Because people who judge based on appearances aren't worth the energy. And the people who matter, like you, they know the truth. My family doesn't know. Your family will find out tomorrow at 10 a.m., he said with a smile. When Victoria calls your mother crying about how she unknowingly married into a family connected to the man she humiliated, I tried to imagine that phone call, failed, started laughing. We pulled into our driveway, a modest 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood. Marcus had bought it under an LLC before we married. My family assumed we rented. Inside, Marcus changed into sweatpants and his college t-shirt. I put on pajamas. We ordered pizza, and settled on the couch with our elderly dog between us. Do you think Daniel knows? I asked. About your properties? Marcus shook his head. Your family sees what they expect to see. Old car, old clothes, quiet demeanor equals modest means. They never asked the right questions. My phone buzzed. My mother. Are you okay? I can't believe Victoria did that. Call me. I texted back. Fine. Home now. We'll explain everything tomorrow. Another buzz. Daniel. I'm so sorry. I had no idea she was planning that. I didn't respond to that one. The pizza arrived. We ate it watching a detective show we'd started weeks ago. Our Saturday night routine unchanged by the evening's drama. At 11 p.m., my phone rang. My mother, unable to wait. Sweetheart, I'm so embarrassed, she said immediately. Victoria had no right. Mom, it's fine. It's not fine. Having you escorted out by security, in front of everyone. I'm going to speak to her first thing tomorrow. Actually, I interrupted. You might want to wait until after her 10 a.m. meeting. Silence. Then, what meeting? with the estate management. Standard post-event contract review. Why would that matter? I looked at Marcus, who was focused on the TV screen, a small smile playing at his lips. Just trust me, Mom. Wait until after 10 a.m. tomorrow, then call me. I hung up before she could ask more questions. Marcus glanced at me. You're enjoying this? I'm really enjoying this, I admitted. We finished our show, took the dog for a short walk, came back and brushed our teeth side by side in our modest bathroom, with the tile we kept meaning to replace. In bed, Marcus pulled me close. I love you, he said simply. I love you too. I paused. Even though you let me be humiliated for 6 years by my own family, you could have told them any time. So could you. True, he conceded. But watching people show you their true nature, that's valuable information. Victoria certainly showed hers. She did, Marcus agreed. And tomorrow she'll learn that actions have consequences, even in $75,000 venues, especially in $75,000 venues that you own, I corrected. His chest vibrated with quiet laughter. Especially then. I set my alarm for 10:15 a.m. I wanted to be awake when my mother called, when Victoria's perfect world tilted on its axis, when my family finally understood that the cheap husband they'd dismissed was the reason their entire evening had been possible. Marcus was already asleep, breathing slowly, peaceful as always. I thought about Victoria's face when the estate manager introduced the owner, about my mother's shock, about Daniel's confusion, about the wedding guests who'd watched our humiliation, and would soon hear the truth. Tomorrow was going to be very interesting. But tonight, in our modest house with our old dog and our paid-off mortgage and our pizza-stained plates in the sink, everything was exactly as it should be. I fell asleep smiling,